maybe they say, oh, these are the small town around KL, and they start to see the KLCC, but actually this is where most of the people who live. And this is the population share of KL metropolitan region. So I'm looking based on the district here. So this is the Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur, and these are the 7 districts which comprise KL metropolitan region. And what you see is that the share of Kuala Lumpur as a total of the whole KLMR, in 70, it accounted for half of the population. Now has gone down to only a quarter. And then Petaling district from 14% now 27%. And then Hulu Langat also has increased. So what you see there is that you can see vividly more here. Okay? This was in the 70s where KL would be half of the population of the metropolitan region, but the latest census in 2010 showed that the largest is no longer KL, it's Petaling district. Because it's comprised of the 3 PVT there, or local authorities, which is Petaling Jaya, Subang Jaya, and Shah Alam. But you see that this is how it is, and then how the suburbs here are really catching up here. And then see Hulu Langat, which is like, you may think of Hulu Langat as a rural district, but actually its population is almost the size of Kuala Lumpur. And Hulu Langat also is a water catchment area for Kuala Lumpur. So, if your water supply is rationed in July and August, okay, as predicted, you can blame it on the development in Hulu Langat. Okay. But that's the environmental side. Just to cover on this one here, they'll start to see that this is like somewhere like 6-7 years ago, Petaling overtook Kuala Lumpur as having the largest population. And the reason for that is simple. Look at the average annual growth rate, and this is like from the 70s until 2000, and see Kuala Lumpur grew by only 1.3%. You start to see Gombak, they all grew 5 or 6 times faster than Kuala Lumpur. Okay. And here the latest as well. Start to see that in the 80s, most of the development be in Petaling, okay, in Hulu Langat, the highest. But during the past 10 years, this is 2010, Sepang, where Putrajaya, the new administrative, we combine the two, and other part in Sepang, actually they grew 5 times faster than Kuala Lumpur. And you start to see like first it's going to the west, towards the port. Now, the past 10 years, and in the immediate future, the growth will be towards the south. And here's basically the average annual growth rate. So what you see is that Kuala Lumpur here, in the 70s is like 3 or 4%, and then just sliding downward, while the rest of the area are all going upward. Okay, and density-wise, Federal Territory density double 100%, but Gombak, where International Universiti, Petaling, and Hulu Langat grew by 700%. So density-wise, they grew 7 times faster compared to city of Kuala Lumpur. And the metro region grew by 400%. So you see that Kuala Lumpur itself is behind that. Okay. And based on if you look at the data, population data closely, the migration you start to see is that the much higher people migrating from here, Kuala Lumpur in the middle, and this is the surrounding area of KL metropolitan region, and people started migrating outside. Much greater movement towards Petaling. Okay. And now, towards south here. So that's basically what's going on migration-wise. What you see is that the price, the land prices going up, so people can afford it move out to the south. So now here's Penang. And Penang, basically, Georgetown on the island is located here, Timur Laut, or the Northeast District. In the 70s, it accounted for half of the population. In 2000, it was only a third. And you start to see is that you see the growth on the mainland, Seberang Perai. And showing that, so this is Timur Laut, it's only 0.5% population growth rate, 91 to 2000, whereas the Seberang Perai Selatan, or the South Seberang Perai, the mainland, it grew like 6-7 times faster than that. And even the rest also, they grow faster. And the average annual growth rate of that start to see the Timor Laut, is 0.56. That's where Georgetown is, and then it's really way behind compared to other areas in the region. Johor Bahru, and what happened, as I showed you just now, Georgetown actually lost population, and the area is growing. And for Johor Bahru as well, start to see the main city is this. This is Johor Bahru, Johor Bahru City Council. And then the growth rate is like 2%, but you see the rest here. Okay, this is to the north of the city. It grew by 18%. This is like the growth rate is like nine times faster than that. This is where Skudai is. Okay, and all other development much faster growth there. And what happened is that the same as Kuala Lumpur, during the last census of 2010, Johor Bahru Tengah now, okay, population-wise, Johor Bahru Tengah now is bigger than JB. Okay. Then it's the same thing as what happened in KL metropolitan area. That the main city is no longer having the largest population. Okay. And those are based on population. This is the build-up areas. So you start to see they are in the fringe of the main urban center, and it's evident in all main three conventions. And just like Hulu Lagat just now, the green areas were rapidly declining, and also the main urban centers, they started to lose their primary role and importance. And this is something to do related to the globalization as well. Okay. And these are the changes in the build-up area. KL, there it's very high, but that is kind of small. And then all the other areas surrounding it, the build-up area are growing much faster. The same trend. Build-up area in Penang, also the Timor Laut here, 0.08, whereas the rest are 5% or 6% per year. Okay, and also here, in terms of the total build-up area, the rest are growing like 100%, but Timor Laut is only like 10%. And here start to see more vividly of the build-up area. So in the middle here is the Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur. So that's where Kuala Lumpur. So this is the build-up area, the dark blue in the 1991. But you start to see by 2002, all this build-up area have gone up, especially to the south. Okay. And here showing that the build-up area, and this one, I think that this one from Professor Aris, Prof. Aris from UiTM. And so this one is in 88 and 95. In 2004, it's spreading all the way to the other areas, towards the west, now towards the south. And you see how, okay. This is basically when people talking about sprawl. What is basically sprawl is when your build-up area grows much faster than your population. So the population may be growing like 2.5% per year, but the build-up area would grow 5 times that. And people start moving out to the suburb. Okay. And as a consequence, there is changes in the green areas. So start to see out here some of this. This is Port Klang area. Okay. The mangrove, most of it have disappeared, and also this one, okay, Udulangan area. Okay. And then they started to encroach into environmentally sensitive areas. So the build-up area, the orange one, is starting to creeping into those areas to the east, to the mountain region. For Johor Bahru, 1980s, a small one area, and then you start to see by 20 years after that has moved up here, and with Iskandar development region, I think 2010, this area already filled up. Then basically what happened in terms of the build-up areas of Johor Bahru. Okay. And that's the problem of urban sprawl. Okay. Which, looking into the third aspect of this one on socio-economic and globalization and city competitiveness. Okay, what I showed to you just now was that more on the urban sprawl, that in such a way that what happened is that due to globalization, the rise of the manufacturing, then you start to see that the growth of the fringe area of the cities. Okay. And basically, this one, the trend is expected to continue. Now, there is what we call as globalization and city competitiveness. That, with globalization, the cities want to be competitive, and Kuala Lumpur wants to be being that it's in the location between Bangkok and Singapore, KL wants to position itself as one of the most attractive cities. And of course, it has, under Prime Minister Najib Tun Razak, now the focus is now there is an economic transformation program, KL 2020 by 2020. Means that he wants to be in the top 20 city in terms of economic growth, and also one top 20 city in terms of livability. And that's why I see a lot of program on the transformation program. So basically, KL wants to be 2020 by 2020. Okay, and it's competing against Bangkok, Singapore, Jakarta, Manila. Okay. Jakarta, Indonesia being one of the fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia, and then people are saying that BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India and China, and they put another I in the middle. So Brazil, Russia, India, Indonesia and China, BRICS. Because Indonesian economy is growing very strong, and I think I read last year the Philippines economy is the second fastest in Asia as well. But Jakarta, knowing that they have very strong economy, they are the largest country in Southeast Asia, and they want to keep their position. Okay? The capital as a very competitive capital, okay, in Southeast Asia, and Singapore want to maintain as its position as the preeminent city of Southeast Asia, because it sees the competition, which is quite interesting, competition between Singapore and Kuala Lumpur. When like 10 years ago, when Malaysia developed port of Tanjung Pelepas, which is a port to the south of next to Singapore, and then and Malaysian government like really supported that port as a rival to Singapore port. And then when Evergreen announced, okay, they are going to shift from Singapore port to Port Tanjung Pelepas in Johor, and then Singaporeans said, oh, it's nothing, it's only one company. Few days later, when Mercy Line announced they are moving to Port Tanjung Pelepas, the CEO of Singapore port resigned within 24 hours, and the government took over. There's such the rivalry between the nation, between the capital. And then Singapore really, okay, after that they replaced that, and then they ensured that Singapore port will maintain its #1 position. Okay. And that's why the Crook Bridge, like Mahathir really wanted it, and then Singapore really objected to it. And what happened after that was that during Tun Abdullah time, when he decided to cancel the Crook Bridge, and Tun Mahathir was really upset for it. And then the reason being that if the causeway is not there, the ship can fly through there and they can bypass the Singapore ports. So that's what economic competitiveness, and that's what Singapore is doing as well in terms of that. Okay, and Bangkok, I think I put this one. The other one should be Bangkok. The other one is Singapore. Okay, so this is Bangkok. This Wanabumi Airport, very nice airport on that to increase competitiveness of that. And Singapore, those are the two. I think maybe you know, those are the two casinos in Singapore, which is quite interesting. A few years ago, I looked at a clip in the magazine, and then saw somebody dancing on a bar top. And this is from Singapore Tourism. And say, okay, if you have not seen this in Singapore, you have not been to Singapore a long time. They are changing their image. And now, it is quite interesting that Singapore, which banned gambling a few years ago, now has the two largest casinos in the world. Okay? Marina Bay Sands and Sentosa. Of course, this one from Las Vegas and this one from Genting, from KL. And quite interesting, read an article that the largest gambling city is in Macau. The second is no longer Las Vegas Strip, it's in Singapore. And gambling have dropped like 24% of Singapore revenue last year. Its economy growing very fast last few years because of this. And this is like the globalization and competition that it has changed the social economy and the culture of that. And quite interesting as well that you can think, oh, Malaysia is a Muslim nation and things like that, which is true. But at the same time, you look at on the other side of the coin, that Genting exported gambling to Singapore, and now they're exporting that to Manila. They're cracking that, and they come from Malaysia. So Malaysia, we are good at exporting gambling casino to our neighboring countries. Okay, so for economic competitiveness, so now using the city, Greater Kuala Lumpur, as one of the sectors in economic transformation. So the city is no longer seen as a place for people to live. In Prime Minister's quest to make Malaysia a high-income nation, a city is specifically chosen as one of the sectors to transform the economy to high-income nation. Of course, the other sectors is oil and gas and palm oil, but now it's moving towards that. Okay? To make a high-income nation, of course, there's a mega project, My Rapid Transit, Sulawesi Airport, and of course, My Rapid Transit is the metro. For Kuala Lumpur now, it's the largest infrastructure program in the country, worth about 60 billion ringgit, about 30 billion US dollars. So this redevelop this one, and Rubber Research Institute development. As I mentioned to you, KL as the top 20 city economically and standard of living. But what happened is that this one is going to lead greater sprawl, because yes, you have some of this project within the city center like Sungai Besi, but the land is quite small. KL Financial District. But what happens is that Rubber Research Institute and other areas are going to be developed much faster, and then start to see the whole area is going to sprawling, like in Kuala Lumpur, and then in the KL metropolitan region, and then you start to see the trend is now where the strength of the anchor city will be reduced as well. Okay. And Penang as well. So this is Penang Bridge. So we are building the second Penang Bridge, should be completed by next year, and it's going to towards the south. Then you start to see this is Georgetown, the city center, and then it start moving south here. So economically it's rolling down here, and then AirAsia, while the plan says that the airport has to be in Penang, they are lobbying very hard. Maybe they get it. Their northern terminal will be in Krian, in northern Perak, somewhere down here. Okay. So you see the sprawling down there, and then there's also city competitiveness. So say AirAsia, like people then say, well, why government are helping AirAsia, because Malaysia Airlines is like government entity. But yes, the government helped AirAsia a lot simply because AirAsia made Kuala Lumpur competitive, because they brought people who would not come to KL. Because KL cannot compete with Bangkok and Singapore. The air connection is not good. But when I was in New Zealand, I met many New Zealand students, people from other countries who come to KL because from New Zealand, they will fly to Melbourne on the cheap ticket, and then from Melbourne or Sydney, they fly on AirAsia to KL, and from KL, they fly to Europe on AirAsia. That's what AirAsia did. Okay. Even though AirAsia is a threat to Malaysia Airlines, but AirAsia brought people and made KL very competitive. And that's why they're able to get many things. Many people wonder what Tony Fernandez is able to get so many things, because he did something in terms of making KL competitive. So this is what happened in Penang. And then in the south, what happened is Johor Bahru now start to see Iskandar. This is Tanjung Pelepas, I mentioned to you, the arrival in Singapore. So port of Tanjung Pelepas here, and Nusa Daya administrative, and then on the right towards Pengerang, the largest oil and gas hub. So what you see is that development is moving to the west and to the east, away from the city center. So that is Iskandar. And of course here, a lot of this property are bought by Singaporeans. Okay. So basically the implication is that, as mentioned, it will not be in the core of the city, it will be in the fringe of existing major cities. And what happened, the small town I mentioned to in the frontier areas, they're going to be left behind further. Okay? And so within the suburb as well, due to high cost of living, because like KL now, under the economic transformation program, they want to reduce, they want to increase the foreign talent from 9% to 20%. So the city center within KL, federal territory is getting expensive, so people keep moving away to the suburb where land is cheaper. Okay? And you start to see the movement of people really being pushed from the city. And it happened that the donut effect of city center and in Georgetown, the repeal of rent control act, you start to see it's where the Malays already move out to the mainland. Okay. And this is basically, you start to see, and this is not just happened in Malaysian cities, it's happening in other Southeast Asian cities as well. With globalization, city competitiveness, and there is a change in socio-economic structure. Okay, of that. Okay, and then so kind of I'm going to end this one with this something which new research is going on there. That I'm looking from the Malaysian cities perspective, socio-economic and cultural. That is, when you see Kuala Lumpur, KL metropolitan area, yes, this is what you see. What you think of the old administrative building, Sultan Abdul Samad building, okay, more than 100 years old, and the KLCC. But is it what really about the city of Malaysia? Okay. Or is this the city in Malaysia? Of course, this is section 7, inshallah, okay, outside of UiTM. Because the data showed that most of the people in metropolitan don't live in this area. They live in this area. Okay. That you see that the share of the whole urban area in the KL metropolitan region accounted by these kind of places is now less than a quarter. 75% live here. And there's an implication into the social economy of people living in this problem. And quite interesting, if you look at the data very closely, the people who live there, they don't live in a small town outside there. Look at from Skudai or other areas, they live in areas where it's outside from the town center, the small town center. And so socio-economically, people are moving to the suburb. Okay? Like this one here. But the suburb, we don't have really nice architecture building like in the city center. Okay? So it's like homogeneous, like monotonous, and things like that. And this is up here, this is Penang, Georgetown. This is Masjid Kapitan Leboh Aceh. Next to Masjid Kapitan Keling. And this area in the heyday, like in the 60s, lot of Malay Muslims came here. But what happened, this mosque here is so sad, like close by there's another mosque. For Friday prayer, where we require at least 40 people, there's not enough people, they have to alternate the Friday prayer. So this area, because of globalization, city competitiveness, because the cost of living has increased, this area is being kind of abandoned by the Malay Muslim. And I think Khazanah Holdings working on it like that. They have asked me really to look into this area, how to help this, the Malay enclave of Penang to revive that. So this is what happened in terms of socio-economic, the culture, that the city center people start moving up to the suburb. And then it lead to kind of new growth area here in the suburb, but the city center being left behind. Okay. And as mentioned to you, this is also cultural. And this is Singapore casinos. Okay. Where now casino is one of the things really to propel Singapore's economy. Okay, and Manila is going towards that. So basically, the thesis of my presentation here is that now it's no longer what happens that with globalization, Professor Alia mentioned this on globalization, and competition among cities, and especially in ASEAN region, then what I see is there is a strong implication on the socio-economic and culture. That growth have shifted back from focusing on balanced development and equitable, is shifting back into the major metropolitan areas, because that's where competitiveness is. And I think a few months ago, the World Bank, when they came out with the report on Malaysia, I think it's titled Smart Cities. It's basically what happened is that there is like the government really encourage development around this area, and it's become sprawling. Okay, so with that, Sawadee-Kap, thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much for the detailed presentation.
distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am honored to present the keynote address for the ASEAN Conference on Environmental Behavior Studies. The title is Incorporating Environment Behavior Knowledge to the Design Process and Elusive Challenge in the 21st century. Actually, this is in line with what Aria has talked about this morning, the transfer of knowledge. For today, I would like to present in from the practitioner, a researcher, and also a lecturer, the Faculty of Architecture and Urban Planning, Thammasat University. Beginning with, in 1974, Professor Dr. Ladkrabang, without environmental assessment, this implies that the impact of science in the design process later on. As a part of introduction, I would like to present a little bit about my previous experience. First of all, my paper, Semantic Dimensional Structures, a Methodological Approach, has been was published in Environment Behavior in December 1978. That's a long time ago. And also, I would like to mention about my involvement in behavioral research under the revered Professor Ladkrabang of St. Louis, of Louis Kahn Research Building, in comparison with another laboratory building at also the Universities of Pennsylvania Medical School. Louis Kahn's building actually is one of the most